And on the 25th anniversary of Keggy's monumental, massive meltdown, we would love it if you told your friends about the pod. Sit back and enjoy. We are the Anglo-Italian Pod. I am Rory. You can follow us on Twitter at Italian Anglo Pod, and I'm joined by
Tommy. Rory, you almost lost it there, and you can find us on.
I just held on.
You can find us on Instagram at Anglo-Italian Pod. Europa League tonight, Champions League behind us, a lot of club action this weekend. Rory, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. I'm nervous about Arsenal and how they're going to ruin my midweek as well as my weekends now. But, you know, Emery's got to take it. He's got to have it. We've got to give it him. Come on, Arsenal. Tommy, how's your week been?
I'm counting down the days for a Scudetto celebration. In Milan, it's currently raining hard AF. Kind of funny, as Lombardia, the region we're in, became a yellow zone, allowing people to dine and have lunch outside. It started pouring rain. But overall, I'm just counting down the days to the Scudetto celebrations. I don't know what the Italian government is going to do to curb them. I'm thinking about the army in Duomo Square, but I've already joined a Telegram account that is trying to organize a little secret. Okay, sorry. And moving on.
Yeah, but I tell you what, you can't hold back the tide, right? It's the first potential Scudetto win in this city in 10 years. You can only do so much. 11. People will celebrate. There will be celebrations. We don't need to worry about it, Tommy. There will be. There will be celebrations. In our Euro review today, we're going to preview Europa League action, which you will already be aware of. We're going to review all of the Champions League action and break down all of these weekend fixtures. And in our weekly topic, we'll be serenading you once again with our favorite ever footballing YouTube clips. Rory, you seem stressed by just the thought of Arsenal playing tonight. Come on, man. I'm just getting flash forwards of how the hell they're going to fuck up my week. Right, let's go on to the Euro review and talk about said Gunners. And here we are. We are in the blimp and we are ready to review all of European action tonight, of course, or last night as you are listening to it. We had the Europa League, so we're going to start there. I feel like we don't give this underrated tournament enough airtime. And tonight we have... Should we start with Villarreal Arsenal?
Let's start with Villarreal Arsenal, Rory. Sometimes I forget that after this tricky and shaky season, Arsenal are actually in the semifinals of a continental competition. That's exciting, isn't it?
It's crazy. It kind of feels like that season we had under Emery where it was equally awful, but we got to the final against Chelsea. Equally awful? No, it wasn't as bad as this season. But yeah, we've kind of found ourselves here more by luck than by design, I might say. But man, I'm really nervous about this. Emery back at his old stamping ground. It was kind of, I think it was written in the stars that we were going to draw them at some point. The second he was appointed Villarreal manager, I thought we're definitely going to meet them. And it has happened. Now, there's some good news and some bad news for Arsenal here. The good news is we've got this new, we got this new fitness coach in the summer who's called Bruno Mazziotti, I think his name is, and he was at PSG. The guy is an absolute beast. You should check out his Instagram. The guy's massive, but it turns out that he's actually doing quite a good job in our physio room. And tonight we could have as many as 3-4 players back. We could have Kieran Tierney, Aubameyang, Odegaard, and David Luiz back. So it could be, that's promising. Now, what worries me is I don't want to rush Kieran Tierney back because he gets injured enough without rushing him through for a semi-final. But if he's fit, he will make such a difference in this game. The same for Odegaard because we've been lacking his creativity. Even though he's only been here for a couple months, he's made a pretty quick impact in the team, so it'd be good to have him back. David Luiz, as much as he is Sideshow Bob and a clown, he is probably our best centre-back, so it would be good to have him back. And Aubameyang, of course, scored in the semi-finals in the Europa League, scored in the semi-finals in the FA Cup, scored in the final in the FA Cup. We know he turns up on the big stage, so it would be great to have these players back. But the one that I am hoping the most about is Kieran Tierney, because it's a player we've talked about before. I think we mentioned him last week. But Chukwueze for Villarreal is crazy dangerous. And I feel like as good a job as Xhaka has done at left back, supporting them, like filling in, I feel like having Tierney in the natural position would give us a bit more solidity there. Yeah.
How do you feel, Rory, about Villarreal winning every single game in the knockout stage of the Europa League this season?
Yeah, that is, we've lost one, maybe two. They're definitely in better form than us. I would hazard a guess that they're a better team than us. The thing is, they've even got a few of our old players, like Coquelin is there.
That doesn't sound good, does it?
I think exactly. I think I'm missing one as well. I think they have another one of our ex-players. So it's like, there'll be a few people there to prove a point, but as well as Chukwueze, who we've seen, I saw a great compilation of him on Twitter this week, some of his dribbles and sombreros and rainbows and flicking it around people. They, of course, have Moreno up front, who is having an incredible season for Villarreal. He currently has 26 goals in 38 appearances, 6 goals and 3 assists in the Europa League. So he is who we need to pay all of our attention to, I think, or let's say the majority of our attention to in this tie. But both teams in the league are actually in pretty poor form. So Villarreal have only won 2 of their last 5 in La Liga. Yeah, and Arsenal, you'll be surprised to hear, have only won 1 of their last 5 in the Premier League. So both of these teams are very much putting all their eggs in the brown Europa League basket. But I think it'll be a really interesting game. I think it will be a full throttle attacking game. I think both managers, neither manager is going to try and sit back and see this one out. If we could get a draw with an away goal, I'd be pretty happy with that, I'll be honest.
And on the other side of the Europa League table, we've got an Anglo-Italian matchup, Manchester United versus Roma. Of course, whenever I read this about this match, I think of the 7-1, which I believe was the last time the two teams met each other, was it?
No, they did meet each other after that in 08-09. I think it was a bit more respectable, the score. I think it was like 4-1 on aggregate. We talked about it last week, I think. I remember that Tevez scored. PK played.
Look, but yeah, Roma, every time I try to say something good about Roma, then they prove me wrong. And so I don't really know how they're going to go into the semifinal. They are not performing that much in Serie A. They have won only 1 of their last 5 games. They've lost against Cagliari. They've lost against Torino. Definitely the hope is that they will show up with a different attitude on the Europa League stage. They are being reported here in Italy as the likely saviors of Italian football. They are the only Italian team in a European competition. And putting all of your hope on Roma, history teaches us that maybe you should look elsewhere. I don't know. How do you feel about the semi-final, Rory?
Yeah, I don't think Roma fans are going to be feeling the same way. I think if they're realistic, they'll know that they're the underdogs here, right? They're the massive underdogs.
But did you see the amount of people at Trigoria wishing them good departure?
I did, and I saw some snotty United fans on Twitter like, oh my God, they're acting like it's the final already. Right, if you're going to moan about players sending off their fans sending off their players in style, then football is not the game for you. You're not here for the right reasons, right? I thought those scenes were amazing. I think this is the first European final for Roma since 1991.
Yeah.
From the last I could see, when they lost to the Nerazzurri in the UEFA Cup, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a long time since they've been in a European final. This is a big opportunity for the Giallorossi, and the fans know it. But we also know that they've been terrible in big games this season.
Terrible, absolutely terrible. How's United's record versus top teams in Premier League? I feel like they
tend to get a lot of 0-0s, but the more worrying thing for United fans, I think, will be Ollie's record in semi-finals. He's had 4 semi-finals in his 2 years in charge, and he has lost all 4. So his record is not good in semi-finals. I think this would be a big chip off his shoulder if they did manage to get through and make it to the final. So yeah, two teams who maybe it's not unprecedented, is it? But in recent times, two teams that have kind of struggled to get to European finals. It's a big night for all teams involved. I think that's fair to say. And I think we've said it before, this is where the Europa League comes into its own. I think at this point, it's a very good tournament. We've got 4. I'm going to include Arsenal, very good teams here, coming into a potential European final. I'm excited. If I could just see Arsenal win one European final, that would be a bonus, I'll be honest.
100%. But now it's time to move on the Champions League. And I almost got both the scores right. As I did say that Real Madrid-Chelsea would be a 1-1 draw. And I did say PSG-City 2-2. Almost, not quite. Rory, what game should we start from?
Well, my predictions were terrible, but let's start from Real Madrid-Chelsea. That was on Tuesday. Go.
So Real Madrid-Chelsea, man. The first thing that I have to say, I'm opening a poll for our followers and listeners. So, guys, I will put this poll up on Instagram as well. Am I the only one who sees a certain resemblance between Thomas Tuchel and Keira Knightley? Am I really the only person? Rory, you can't see it at all?
I think you'd had too many beers by the time you sent that message, man. I can't see it. I think if I was Keira Knightley, one, I'd be a lot richer, but I'd also be very offended. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if Keira Knightley has this very cornery face, you could say, like
right. I think it's like defined is the nice word, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's full of angles in places where usually there aren't like such geometric angles in a person. And I feel like Thomas Tuchel sometimes has kind of I don't know. He kind of reminds me of Keira Knightley. Listeners, do let us know what you think about this very hot take. But before
very hot,
very hot to take. But before going into this game, I decided to do finally some research on Thomas Tuchel because I did not know enough of this manager. And last week we did mention that he coached the Mainz, but I didn't know for how long. And he actually stayed at Mainz for 5 years, which is kind of a long tenure for a mid-table to low-table team in the Bundesliga. He spent there 4 years, managing to get 1.43 points per game. He then moved to Dortmund for 2 seasons, where his average was 2.12 points per game. And then at PSG, I feel like that was his most important experience so far. There he was able to implement everything that he's learned, and he managed to stay there for 1 year and a half with a 2.35 point per game average. Now, I did say that I do believe that PSG let him go because he was too defensive-minded of a manager, and PSG with the players that they have, they want to see a little more of a show during the games. And looking at the game against Real Madrid, I was very, very impressed by the way Chelsea played. I feel like, and you'll tell me, Rory, if you agree or not, but I feel like Chelsea were the better side in a fixture where it was very difficult to determine who was the better side.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think they were... Yeah, it was a very close game, but I was really impressed with how Chelsea played. I think a lot of their players really stepped up to the plate. One who really impressed me was N'Golo Kante. I think he was an absolute machine again. And I think with Kante, it's easy to just assume that he's like running nonstop. And he is. But I think what people forget is that he's not everywhere. He's just always in the right place.
I 100% agree with you. Yeah.
Like the way he reads the game is just unbelievable. So he's always there, always in the way, always intercepting. And in this match, he completed more tackles than more dribbles than the whole Real Madrid team combined. So he completed 6 dribbles compared to Real Madrid's 5. He was key in midfield and made sure that their midfield wasn't able to get the ball through to Kareem the Dream, etc., as much as they wanted. But the tie in Stamford Bridge is going to be so fascinating now. I think it's really finally set. But can we please, we still need to talk about Timo Werner and the Pulisic goal, right? So
Man, yeah, Timo Werner. I did say it multiple times. Maybe he just needs a goal. No, I think that he needs a summer break to come back and remember how to play football.
I think he needs like a bit of a rest. Now, there was a thing of he personally got a higher XG than Real Madrid combined. So Real Madrid's XG was 0.76 and Werner's was 0.98. So just that chance he missed had a higher XG than any other chance that Real Madrid created, right?
Wow.
And it does say a lot that Pulisic, when he scored the goal, preferred to go round three players and a goalkeeper rather than square it to Timo, which I think things like that aren't going to help him psychologically. Most likely, if he's like, "Oh God, just mate, give me the ball, give me the ball." Oh, okay, fine, don't give me the bloody ball. So I think things like that kind of add to it. And there was a clip of Giroud and Courtois talking in the tunnel about that chance as well. Where Giroud was just like, "Oh, what a save," and Courtois was just, "No, I just stuck my foot out like he missed it." It was quite funny, but he just can't get.
Yeah,
I thought after the West Ham goal, after getting a goal against West Ham, maybe his fortune had changed, but then he missed a sitter after that, and now getting massive Fernando Torres at Chelsea vibes. I don't know.
Yeah. However, he did come up clutch in a return fixture in the semifinals of the Champions League. So maybe Timo Werner will be the hero in the return leg at Stamford Bridge. Talking about the coaching style as well, we finally found two teams that are not Inter Milan and they're not Italian that play with a 3-5-2 or better with a three-man defense in Europe. Both teams lined up that way. And talking about Tuchel as well, this is very interesting because looking at all the lineups that he's used ever since he was coaching at Mainz, he has used the 3-5-2 here and there, but it feels like only where he really needed to. While at Chelsea, he's made it his like official approach to every game. 3-5-2, it seems to be working. He has only lost 2 of 22 games on the sideline for the Blues, which is pretty impressive. And hey, Thiago Silva could be in the second consecutive Champions League final with 2 different teams. That would be quite something.
I like that. Yeah, I love that stat. Yeah, well, I think we knew that when Thiago Silva came in, he was brought in for this precise reason, to give a bit of experience, a steady head at the back when you get to these kind of these big games, right? That's what he was brought in for, and he seems to be doing the job. But talking about Tuchel, he is the first manager, talking about how he never loses, he's the first manager to face Real Madrid 5 times and not lose. So he is still yet to lose to Real Madrid. Yeah, pretty crazy stats. So I think when he was appointed, I've said it before, but I thought it was a very underwhelming appointment because of how it had ended at PSG and how it ended at Dortmund. I thought, I don't know if this is the right move. Maybe it's just the name, but you cannot fault if you compare what Lampard was getting out of that squad compared to what Tuchel is getting out of that squad, it is a world of difference.
Yeah, and another world of difference is the way that we've got used to seeing Real Madrid play. Now, think back of the days when Cristiano Ronaldo was there. They were just going for it 100% all the time. You score 1, we are going to score 3. You score 2, we're going to score 5. This time, this season, it's starting to feel like Zidane has understood that the team is not what it was anymore. And it felt like when the draw came, it felt like both teams were playing for the draw. Chelsea were quite happy with their away goal. Real Madrid were happy with having scored at least 1 to come back from the deficit. And it felt like both teams were pretty happy with what they had. It was a quite conservative game. I'm very curious to see the return leg. I wouldn't know who's going to go through because Real Madrid, maybe they have got the individual skill. For example, Benzema. While Chelsea, at times, they feel like more of a team. We will see who will come out winner. But man, shall we talk about the dream, Karim Benzema? He fooled you. You thought he had stopped it with his chest. It was with his forehead. And
was it? I thought it was a chest and volley.
Dude, it was with his forehead. It's like a bullet coming to his head and very poised. Like cushions it and then slams it. Absolutely slams it in goal. What a beautiful finish. But going back to Pulisic's goal, man, that one was some footwork as well.
It's cold, right? Really cold. Like really calm, collected, like 2 beautiful goals. I think in the second leg, the difference could be Benzema. I think if you give him, especially this season and the form he's in, you give him half a sniff at goal and it is going in. And I think that could be the difference. Whereas we've talked about with Timo Werner, maybe he needs 8 chances to score 1. Benzema needs 8 chances to score 8. If you know what I mean, like he just doesn't miss at the minute. I think that could be the difference. But I also have a weird feeling that Chelsea are going to win the Champions League.
Ooh, well,
I have this weird feeling at the back of my head that it's going to happen. Like
we have talked about it off mic, off pod, but the last time that Chelsea changed manager halfway through the season, they did win the Champions League. So maybe, and they also had a striker, as we've already covered, who missed a lot of goals. So maybe this is actually the season. However, well. Shall we? Well, the 2 last things that I want to say about these games is that number 1, Benzema joins Raul in 4th place for the most goals scored in the Champions League ever. And the other thing is that ever since Hazard came on with the number 7, I'm so used to seeing Blanco's 7 being Cristiano Ronaldo. And you know that hype that there has been around on Twitter and Instagram about that artist called the Fetru that shrinks players in
okay, right. Yeah.
Man, his name is Fetru, and watching Hazard play, it did really feel like a Cristiano Ronaldo Fetru version. I don't know, like a tiny dude. However, he did not bring to the pitch what Cristiano Ronaldo used to bring to the pitch.
No, well, the problem with Hazard is if he's got smaller, he's also got wider. That's the problem with Hazard. It's like his fitness has been an issue, and I think it was a transfer that nobody talked about, and then everybody talked about how nobody talked about it. So now everybody talks about it. But how bad a transfer that was, it really has not worked out for either party. I think I'm glad he's out of the Prem because he used to always score against Arsenal. So yeah, goodbye, off you go. But I think he would have been I think Chelsea fans, I think he'll be sad he left Chelsea. It has not worked out, but he can still turn up. You know, if he comes on the pitch, he can still do something. So if they're in the final and they throw him on, you know he's more than capable of rinsing 5 players and scoring a winner. Like, we know he's still quality. It's just not quite worked out in Madrid so far.
And on the other side of the table, we've got a semi-final that really sounds like a final. And to connect it to the Real Madrid-Chelsea game, I do believe that whoever comes out winner between Chelsea and Real Madrid will have had a much quieter run than especially PSG if they make it to the final, which makes sense now that I think about it when you say I think that Chelsea could be the favorites to win the Champions League. So yeah, what do you think of PSG Man City? That was quite some exciting game as well.
Well, yeah, let's talk about their run to the final. So I was talking to the boys about it last night. They have beaten on their way Barca, Bayern, and if they go to the final, it will be City. So if they do win it, you cannot say they've not earned it, right? Like if any team in Champions League history would have earned it, it might be PSG this year if they do win it. But if they are going to win it, they need to play for longer than 45 minutes because they were incredible in the first half. And all I kept thinking was, man, I never see City having to hold their shape and sit deep and be disciplined and wait. And that's all City were doing in the first half because they couldn't get hold of the ball. Obviously, Marquinhos gets the header early on. Now, there's a great stat about Marquinhos. He has scored 5 headers in the Champions League in 2 years. 4 of them have been in either the quarterfinals or the semifinals. So he comes up when it is important. He got the first goal to put the Parisians ahead, and they looked comfortable at halftime. I thought, Man City need to shake something up. They need to change something. They came out second half, no substitutions from Pep, but instantly City just looked a bit better. They were keeping hold of the ball. PSG couldn't get their foot on the ball. Neymar and Mbappe were nowhere. And Man City were just playing exhibition football. It was beautiful to watch. Now, there was a really key moment in the game, and it was when Cancelo came off. So Pep brought Cancelo off because he was on a yellow card, and he brought on Zinchenko. Now, I've talked about how I quite like Zinchenko. I think he's a very, very good squad player. Actually,
quite a funny guy as well.
Yeah, the video of him on Ukrainian TV celebrating Ukraine getting to the Euros is fantastic. You should definitely search it out. But he's he came on and he solidified the defense / midfield, and he also was able to advance City forward. I think he made such a key impact in that game. And then obviously the big man was De Bruyne, right? I think at this point, if he just, every time you shoot, Kevin, just think that you're passing it and it'll go in, because his passing is that frigging good. Oh my God, what a goal. I know it was a mistake, but what a goal.
There was a moment in yesterday's game where De Bruyne was at midfield. I wouldn't know what minute, but he just passed the ball back to defense and they passed it back to him. Then he passed it to the attack and they passed it back to him. Then he passes to a midfielder and they pass it back to him. The composure on those 3 passes, and man, one of them was an absolute bullet. The composure with which he touches the ball, puts it to the ground and distributes it is insane. And today on an Italian Instagram page, I read a post. There was the picture of De Bruyne. You know, when he kind of he's very white, and when he starts running, he becomes red. And it said that the moment that De Bruyne's face turns the color of his hair, you should know that you're in for some trouble. And I loved that post because, man, there is a moment in every game that City play where De Bruyne gets more serious, more competitive, and you know you're fucked in that very moment. That happened yesterday as well.
It did, yeah, no, you're right. Exactly. He goes red really quickly, right? And you can see it on his face. And I think that was even shown with the free kick that Mahrez scored. So there was a great, in the post-match interview, now we're going to come on to the wall, right? We're going to come on to why the wall is no longer a thing in football. But there was a great, in his post-match interview, Riyad Mahrez asked him, can I take the free kick? And I love this comment. Kevin De Bruyne was like, if you're 100% confident, then go for it, right? And obviously, it was actually a pretty poor free kick because he would have kicked it straight at the wall if the wall had done their job. It wasn't a great free kick. Keylor Navas was completely unsighted, but no one cares. It's a goal. It went in. But that wall, how they both made a perfect circle for the ball to go through is insane. Like, I don't know why people can't do walls anymore.
I haven't seen it in quite some time, a wall opening up that way, literally the size of a ball for the ball to go through. It was unbelievable. But I do not agree with you that it was a bad free kick, because now I don't remember who was the defender on the right-hand side of the wall, but I don't think that their waist is that big. So it means that Mahrez was off a perfect curveball by 20 centimeters. So I think it wasn't a poor free kick, but of course, had the wall done its job, it wouldn't have been in. What do you think, Rory? People can't do walls anymore?
People just, I don't know. Obviously, we have not played football to a competitive level, right? And I know that being in a wall, when someone's going to blast the ball at you, is quite scary. But as long as you've got your hands over your balls, the rest of you should be fine, right? You can take a ball to the ribs and walk it off, right? And I'm sorry, but if you're in a Champions League semi-final, I'd like to think if I was in a Champions League semi-final, I'd take a ball to the ribs to prevent us from scoring the goal, if you know what I mean.
Dude, 100%. When we played Champions League football at a competitive level, I remember Lucio and Samuel in 2010, they were additional goalkeepers. They would dive with whichever part of their body was available to prevent people from scoring. And yeah, that was a very lazy wall. But man, on the first goal, what was Keylor Navas doing? How does it feel to completely ruin your season with one dumb play?
I think that's a difficult one, because it's one of those balls where it's I don't know, we call it, what is it? The corridor of uncertainty, where it's the defender doesn't know whether they can go for it. The goalkeeper doesn't know whether they can go for it. He obviously thinks it's going to go around the post. It's not great goalkeeping. We can admit that. But I think to say it's a howler is harsh. It kind of, I think he expects his defenders to deal with it. I don't know. I think in that situation, from what I remember about goalkeeping badly at 7-a-side football, you have to go for that ball. If you are uncertain, you go for it, you dive. Once you're in the air, the ball is yours. Once you're in the air, you punch it away. But yeah, man, it was a tricky one, and it was sad to see that those 2 goals were scored in that short amount of time.
kind of crushing PSG's game, but not dreams. But do you think, Roy, they can go to the Emirates and score 2 goals and not concede any?
No, I think City are going to score. I think City are going to score at home, and there's 2 reasons for that, and I'm going to focus on him a bit more before we go to the one we always talk about. But I want to talk about Mahrez and the fact that he was unbelievable last night. I think him and another player that we're going to get onto are the reason why City will score at home. He's having a great season. He scored 12 goals and got 7 assists this season, so equaling his goal tally from last year. And I think he's definitely going to get a few more before the season's out. It's taken him a while to get into the City squad as a regular, but I think now he's finally getting the praise he deserves. His performances are consistent, and he has become a very important player for them. The other player that we're going to talk about, of course, Tommy, because we always talk about him. Who is it going to be?
I don't know. Is it De Bruyne that we've already talked about? Bernardo Silva? No, I don't know.
Phil Foden. Come on.
Phil. Shit.
Phil
Sorry.
Foden.
Phil. Sorry.
Foden. So I just cannot. He's so exciting. I'm getting so carried away with how good he could be for England. But he created 6 goal-scoring opportunities last night, more than anyone else on the pitch. He probably should have scored one, but he's still young, still learning his trade. Now, we did have a question from What If Football on YouTube asking, would Foden have been labelled the new Gaza if he came out 10 years ago?
The new Gaza?
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, okay, I'll be very honest. Gaza is one of those names that I've heard of repeatedly, but I do not have that much footballing reference. Like, I've never really sat and watched Gaza play. Maybe it's different for you. What do you think?
I think there's quite a few similarities there. I think on the football pitch, there's a lot of personalities, and Phil will be thankful of that. Like, we all love Gaza, but his problems were all off the field, right? I think there's a lot of similarities. His ability to beat players, his flair, his work ethic, his control. I think there's a lot of similarities there. I think maybe Gaza was a bit more audacious with the tricks he tried. I'm thinking of the goal against Scotland where he's knocking it over defenders' heads. Like, not really seen Foden do that yet. But yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities there. But I think Foden could go on to be a better player because he doesn't have the demons that Gaza unfortunately has. But yeah, I think, like I said, I'm getting very, very, very excited and a little bit carried away about how good this guy could be for England. Gareth Southgate should be building his team around him, Declan Rice, Harry Kane. These should be the kind of spine of the team that he's building everything around, I think.
Right. But the big thing, I think, of this game is that Manchester City's goalkeeper, Ederson, had more touches in the game than a certain Kylian Mbappe. So, as much as I think, look, I will tell you honestly, I was watching last night's game. I was very focused on the game, and I was wondering, when you have that team, do you want to play tiki-taka? Thinking about Manchester City, right? I was like, because they were playing tiki-taka all along, and it gets fucking boring after a bit. So I'm just like, how has Pep not come out with the realization that if he wanted to, he would have 2 super fast wings in Mahrez and Sterling possibly, and then you just need that beacon up front to turn it into goals. But definitely, I'm not Guardiola, and I will never be Guardiola. And I have to say that at the end of the game, I was like, well, I got really bored with the tiki-taka, but there is one thing that City did right, and it was absolutely locking down PSG's attack. There weren't that many chances. Neymar and Mbappe were kind of nowhere to be found. And yeah, I'm looking at your notes, Rory, and I think that there is a name to thank for that, right?
Well, the last player that we are going to pile praise on for Man City, and I promise we'll move on, there's a reason why they were very quiet. Now, I've only named one of them, but it's actually 2 of them, and that is Ruben Diaz and John Stones. Together, they have created a hell of a centre-back partnership. And you're right. The first half, Neymar was kind of getting into the game a little bit because PSG were more in the game. So, of course, he was being a bit more instrumental. The second half, both of them disappeared. And I think all the credit has to go to Ruben Diaz and John Stones. What a partnership. I think Ruben Diaz should be getting the Van Dijk treatment that he got last year in how much he has transformed that team. Like, City, we remember before January, we were counting City out of the league title race. We were saying they're not going to win the league. They're out of it already. They buy him in January, boom. They go on this crazy 20-game winning streak, 26-game winning streak, whatever it was. He has transformed that team as much as Van Dijk did to Liverpool. And what a signing. He is going to be like the next, for them, Vincent Kompany. That's going to be their centre-back for the next 10 years.
As soon as next year's Premier League calendar is going to come out, you're going to see Jordan Pickford taking notes. Okay, we're playing City at home on this day. All right, perfect. See you later, Ruben Diaz. But no, yeah, it's good to see. I've said it over and over again. I think that the Premier League has done nonsense spending on center backs, and it's nice to see that finally, even in the Premier League, there are once again good center back partnerships. Going back one last time to the PSG Chelsea game, had Verratti been a normal sized human being, that fixture would have ended 2-2. It was so unfortunate to see that miss because the guy literally put all of his body in it, but he doesn't have enough centimeters on his body to turn that chance into a goal.
That's just being Italian, though. You guys are short. That's what it is.
Yeah, dude. Verratti is one hell of a short dude. He's really, really, really tiny.
I'm sorry, we've just got to say Verratti did genuinely impress me in that game, though.
Man, oh my God, Verratti, there is this ongoing joke that Verratti can't speak Italian because he comes from, well, whatever. He comes from a region where people are known to speak dialect. He definitely didn't study that. He's from Campania.
Okay, right, okay.
Close to Naples. But he then went to Pescara in Abruzzo, which is definitely not the right city if you want to learn Italian. But there is this ongoing joke of him not being able to speak Italian. And last night, there was a moment where he spoke Spanish to the referee, and there were a few memes where we were like, dude, you're trying too hard. You're Italian, and you can speak Italian. You play in France, and you can't speak French. Now you're trying to speak Spanish to the referee. But the very funny meme, and it wasn't a meme, it was a huge praise, was like, why is language that important when you can speak football to someone else? And just to see how Neymar and Verratti found themselves on the pitch last night. That is another language that hasn't been studied in university yet, but it's the language of football, and it worked quite fucking well. Verratti is an incredible player. I mean, his history is incredible. We're going to have a special one day on that Pescara team that managed to make it from the Serie B to Serie A with Zeman as a head coach and Immobile, Verratti, and Insigne all on the team as under 20s, and Verratti went immediately from there to PSG. I want that guy to really win something meaningful, which is not a Ligue 1. I'm backing PSG on the return leg. However, if PSG go through and Man City don't, I think we need to have a weekly topic about Pep Guardiola and whether he's one of the best managers out there or not.
I think it's all. I've talked to the boys at home about it fairly regularly about Pep Guardiola's legacy is going to be decided on whether he can win the Champions League with City, because winning it with that Barcelona team, okay, you've still won the Champions League, but that squad was just a once in a generation level of talent. He needs to win it with another team to be considered like up there with the great managers, especially as he didn't win it with Bayern Munich when they'd done the treble the year before he got there, right? So it's like he does have that test. But I think we are seeing the mental toughness from City in the Champions League that we haven't seen in the past. They went a goal down against Dortmund and managed to see it out quite comfortably, whereas in the past, they might not have done that. And they went a goal down this week and they managed to turn it around to 2-1 away from home. I think we are seeing that, the mental durability that they need. And the way they play is so patient. They stick to the way they play. They know that they're going to get a goal. Eventually, they will score. They know it, so they don't panic. And I think you can see that certainty in them. So I know I said PSG are going to go through. Honestly, my opinions blow with the wind harder than Boris Johnson. So I am going to hold my hands up. But I think that City should go through now with the second leg at home.
We shall see. It's going to be a battle, both Chelsea, Real Madrid, and Man City, PSG. We are all done with our continental competition roundup. We don't have that much to talk about in Ligue 1, La Liga, and Bundesliga. We're going to leave it for the end of the show. Rory, shall we go to Italy right off the bat?
Let's do Serie A.
Okay, guys, there are 5 games to go, and it's getting excited because these 5 games are going to decide the fate of many, many Serie A teams. So let's start from the drop zone. Now, Crotone, who are last in the Italian league, simply need a miracle. Now, I've done this math that I'm sure Crotone fan have done already. If they won every game till the end of the season, they would finish 2 points above the drop zone. That is, if the other teams in the league did not play any games. So I don't think that they can make it. Also because they take on Inter and Roma consecutively, and the only drop zone side, we can call them that, they'll be facing is Benevento. So I think it's definitely too late to start dreaming. And I believe that the same situation applies to Parma, who have drawn 1 and lost 5 ever since winning against Roma, which says a lot about the Giallorossi this season. And just like Crotone, if they won every game, they would finish 4 points above relegation. But once again, that would mean that no other team are playing games. And unluckily for Parma, they've got very tough opponents coming up. They've got Torino, who are also fighting for relegation, Atalanta and Lazio fighting for the Champions League, Sassuolo and Sampdoria, who are not fighting for anything, but especially Sassuolo, I doubt that they will be, moving aside to let them win. So I would be surprised if they got a total of even 4 points from the 15 available. And then, besides these 2 teams, Crotone and Parma, there is really a dogfight for the third team who might drop. So let's start from the one who is the highest above the relegation zone, and it's Fiorentina at 34, only 3 points above relegation. Then we've got Spezia at 33, only 2 points above, and Torino, Cagliari, and Benevento all even at 31 points, but Torino do have 1 game in hand, even though against Lazio, and Benevento, because of the direct fixtures, they are currently in the drop zone. Now, it's difficult to say, but I think that in this fight, if we consider Fiorentina, Spezia, Torino, Cagliari, and Benevento look like the weakest side. Yeah. And Torino, which makes it very interesting, is the team that will have a say in their faith and in other teams' faith. So they're going to take on both Parma, Spezia, and Benevento between now and the end of the season. So Rory, if you had to pick one, Fiorentina, Spezia, Torino, Cagliari, or Benevento, who's going to go down?
I think I said it on Monday. I'm still going to stick with Benevento. Like I said, every time I've seen them play, they look a little bit too Serie B to be in the division.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Witches, they had actually a very good run towards I would say, the middle of the season, but they definitely disappeared after that. But then, going to the top of the league, with 5 games to go, the Champions League situation looks very, very tricky for next season. So, besides Inter Milan, who might be preparing already their Scudetto celebrations, or are definitely preparing their Scudetto celebrations, there are as many as 5 teams fighting for 3 Champions League spots. Let's start from Atalanta at 68. They are going to play their last 2 games against Juventus and AC Milan. However, I have to say, in this run, they definitely look like the most convincing team. Then we've got Napoli, Juventus, and AC in this order, all at 66 points. And Napoli have no big teams to play. However, they face both Cagliari and Spezia within a week. And there are two teams who definitely need points to stay in the top flight. However, we have seen how Napoli have really turned their form recently. There are even rumors about Gattuso possibly staying at Napoli, which is kind of exciting if we see the football that Napoli have been playing recently. They've got 3 wins in their last 5 games. The only loss came against Juventus in that game, famous game in hand that they had, and the only draw against Inter Milan. And then we've got Juventus, who, according to me, but not only, they are the weakest of these 5 teams competing for Champions League, but they also have the toughest schedule. Now, I said it already on Monday, but between May 9th and May 15th, so in 1 week, in less than 1 week, in 6 days, they take on AC Milan at home, Sassuolo away, and Inter at home. And on May 15th, they have the Coppa Italia final against Atalanta. So, yeah, I think it's looking quite tough for Juventus in this moment. And if they didn't make it to the Champions League, there was a quiz the other day, a poll on Twitter by an Inter fan. Inter fans, who would you rather have out of the Champions League, AC Milan or Juventus? Now, the vast majority voted Juventus. And
of course.
And as much as I would love AC Milan to be crowned the winter champions and not make it to the Champions League, and they would be the first team in Serie A history to do so, think about from a financial point of view. What kind of... Yeah, go for it.
It would absolutely ruin Juventus. It would absolutely ruin them. They're already financially crippled because of the Ronaldo deal, that they're now desperate to try and get rid of him. If they then don't get that Champions League money, that is... Agnelli suddenly might be the worst Agnelli to run a Juventus. Juventus, right?
To run Juventus, I agree with you. And let's not forget that, like, no Champions League means a lot of no's. Means no Cristiano Ronaldo, no Allegri, quite possibly. And I mean, not many players wanting to go to Juventus when they are competing in Europa League and trying to win the title again after possibly losing it. But then we've got AC Milan also at 66 and currently in Europa League territory. They have games against Benevento, Juventus, Torino, Cagliari, and the last game of the season against Atalanta. Now, none of this game is going to be an easy win, as 3 of these teams, Torino, Cagliari, Torino, Cagliari, and Benevento, are battling for relegation, and 2, Juventus and Atalanta, are fighting for the Champions League. These last 5 games in Serie A are going to be insane, but don't count Lazio out yet, because they have 1 game in hand against Torino, which they're going to play on May 18th. And if they won it, they could go 2 points off AC Milan in 5th. As for the other games, they've got mid to low table opponents with only 2 really intense battling relegation, as I believe Parma will drop. But this is to say that the Champions League fight is well open. I am pretty positive that the team finishing second are going to be Atalanta. Mm-hmm. Now, about the 3rd and 4th, I really, really don't know. I like the way Napoli they're playing. It feels like they have an objective. They are not going to back down until they get it. But AC Milan have really... That 3-0 loss against Lazio was quite something. They were never really into the game. Yeah. Lazio had lost 5-2 against Napoli the game before. So I think that Milan are not in great shape. Of course, the dream would be if the 4 Champions League teams would be Inter, Atalanta, Napoli, and the Lazio. That would be a great ending to the season. Beautiful to know that Inter Milan could have a saying in Juventus's faith, as we are playing them 2 games before the end of the season. Yeah,
it's looking interesting. I'm going to say Napoli. Yeah, I think you're right. It will be Inter, Atalanta, Napoli, and I'm going to say I'm going to say Juve will sneak in. I'm going to say they'll sneak in just at the last moment because it's Juve. I think they'll just make it.
And Inter Milan might have a chance to win the title this weekend already if a lot of ifs, if AC Milan lose, if Atalanta drop points, if we win. But I think that the Scudetto celebrations are going to happen not this weekend, but the next one at home against Sampdoria. Let's go to the games. This weekend, we've got on Saturday, Verona Spezia at 3 p.m. Verona are definitely going through the worst spell of the season. They have nothing to fight for. They have lost 4 of the last 5 games, winning only 1, while Spezia seem capable of stopping even the toughest opponents. Interesting game at 3 p.m. on Saturday, while at 6 p.m. we've got Crotone Inter. Now, the first game of the season between the two clubs finished 6-2 for Inter Milan, and Inter Milan haven't lost since January 6th against Sampdoria, and they have drawn only 3 of their last 15 games, losing 0, baby. Yeah, Crotone might be as well doomed, but you never know. I definitely think that Crotone are going to score a goal, thanks to Mr. Simi, Nwankwo Simi, I believe is his name. Buy a vowel next time, buddy.
Milan like Kanu, same name as a Kanu, right? Nwankwo, that's the same name.
Nwankwo, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Milan Benevento rounds it up on Saturday at 8:45 p.m. and this one should be fun. Who's got more drive? The winter champions trying to squeeze in the UCL or the witches trying to stay up? Don't forget that Filippo Inzaghi was sacked in quite an emphatic fashion by AC Milan, so maybe he has a few chips to take off his shoulder. On Sunday,
and wasn't it AC Milan the Benevento goalkeeper scored against? That was against AC Milan, wasn't it?
Hell yes.
Yeah.
It was the game in Benevento, though, however.
Oh, okay, right.
Then we've got Bologna-Fiorentina at 3 p.m. Another interesting game as both teams have won only 1 in their last 5. Fiorentina seem to be picking up their form. They have drawn against Juventus in quite a convincing way. I do not think Fiorentina are going to be relegated, but shit, Fiorentina, you are not supposed to be there with those players that you've got. So I hope that this is like the very last, warning alarm for Fiorentina, and next year they start playing the competitive football that a club with that amount of money is supposed to be playing. Bologna-Fiorentina is going to be played at the same time as Napoli-Cagliari, Sassuolo-Atalanta, and Udinese-Juventus. So remember that Champions League push we were talking about? These are 3 games that you want to watch, especially Napoli-Cagliari, because Cagliari have won 3 consecutive games. Napoli have got 3 wins in their last 5, and possibly they're the most revamped team looking for a spot in the UCL. And then we're going to have Sampdoria-Roma at night. Roma have only won 1 in their last 5 in Serie A. Europe at this point seems impossible, not even the Europa League, but I feel like their fans deserve something better. At least try to finish the season with some conviction. There are increasing rumors about Sarri already being appointed as next season's manager. I think that Sarri can do incredibly well with the squad that Roma have.
I would love to see that, honestly.
I miss
that would
Sarri.
be amazing. Yeah, I think
Sarri
the disrespect that guy gets is unbelievable. He is such a good manager. I think Roma could do a lot worse than getting Maurizio Sarri in. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. They could do a lot worse. And then Monday night, you think football is over? Not quite. Big time relegation battle. Torino-Parma, bring it on. This is all in the Serie A. And Rory, I'm going to say it, I'm proud of myself because for the first time, I feel like I've done an extensive weekend preview. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I need to step up with the Premier League now, right? I'm going to stretch off and hopefully get it all covered. But in the Premier League, it feels like most things have been decided. In the relegation battle, we currently have. So Sheffield United, as we know, have been relegated on 17 points. West Brom on 25. Fulham on 27. And Brighton safe for the moment on 34. So there's a big 7-point gap there between the relegation zone and safety. And the teams down there this weekend all have fairly tough matches. So Brighton, to start with, they are playing Leeds at home on Saturday at 4 o'clock. Now, this is every weekend I suggest that Leeds are worth watching, and they are. But also, Brighton are really worth watching. They are a really, really nice footballing team, got some really good players, a very good manager who could be heading to Spurs. We do not know. Graham Potter's name is getting linked with the vacancy at the White Hart Lane Stadium. But last time out, Brighton actually beat Leeds at Elland Road 1-0, a goal from Mopai. So this could be a chance for Brighton to really secure their place in the Premier League this season, especially as Fulham have Chelsea away on Saturday at 6:30. Now, this is a kind of West London derby. I think it's probably like the least derby in England. Like, they're two teams that are technically rivals, but there's like no anger there. I can't see Fulham getting much of a result here, unfortunately. Again, Fulham play some really lovely football, but just cannot get those results. And West Brom, they are at home to Wolves. Now, we've talked about how terrible a season Wolves are having. This is on Monday at 7 o'clock. But I think finally this could be a bridge too far for Big Sam Allardyce to rescue West Brom. As I said, they are now 9 points off safety from Brighton. So down at the bottom of the table, it's all looking pretty decided. Teams like Newcastle and Southampton will be breathing a sigh of relief. Southampton have gone under the radar of like how much they have dropped off this season. They were top early on in the season. Now they find themselves on 36 points in 15th place, winning one game out in the last 5. They should be thankful that the teams in the relegation zone aren't showing much fight, because otherwise they could be dragged in quite easily. The same goes for Newcastle and Burnley. So that's 14th, 15th, and 16th, all on 36 points. And Southampton this weekend are facing Leicester. Now, whenever we see this fixture, we always think of the 9-0. That was almost 2 seasons ago now, I believe. This is tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. But last time these teams faced each other, Southampton didn't do much better, with Leicester winning 2-0. Goals from Harvey Barnes and James Maddison. Now, for Leicester fans, there's been really bad news as Harvey Barnes, he was injured in the Arsenal game a few months ago, I want to say now. He had a knee injury. Well, they've just announced that he needs to go for more surgery, and it looks like he'll miss the rest of the season. It's a real shame for Leicester and for Harvey. He's a really exciting player. I think could have had a call for being in the England squad in the summer if he could have stayed fit. But unfortunately, it looks like he's going to be missing the season. But if we're going to talk about Leicester, we can only talk about one man, and that is Kelechi Iheanacho. He is on fire. Nigerian strikers absolutely killing it in Europe this year. You have Osimhen, Iheanacho, and the striker at Lille, whose name escapes me. Nigeria are getting some nice firepower, but Iheanacho has 9 goals and 1 assist in his last 7 Premier League games, which is insane. That brings him to 17 goals in all competitions. This is his best goal-scoring season ever. So Brendan Rodgers is really getting the best out of Kelechi, and it's great to see. He had a few years at City where he was always the backup, but always looked kind of promising when he came on. And it's good to see him kind of almost being the main man behind Vardy, who has, as we said, gone very quiet this year. But moving up the table, we're going to be looking at, I'm going to quickly mention the Arsenal game. Arsenal are playing Newcastle. Newcastle haven't won at Arsenal since 2010. And if this season has taught us anything, it's that teams who haven't won at the Emirates in a very long time can win at the Emirates. So I am not looking forward to this game, especially as we are tending to prioritize the Europa League. But that game is on Saturday at 3 o'clock. And moving up towards the top of the table, we have the big one on Sunday at 5:30. We have Manchester United taking on Liverpool, the Northwest Derby. The last time these two teams met in the Premier League, it was boring AF, but they did meet in the FA Cup and there was a bit more action as it was 3-2 to United. Goals from Greenwood, Rashford and Fernandes and a brace from Salah. So maybe this could be quite an exciting game. These games are always interesting to watch, always feisty. In the table, it won't make much difference, especially for Manchester United. They could maybe solidify their place in second, maybe put a bit of pressure on Manchester City. For Liverpool, their European hopes and Champions League hopes look all but over. They're currently 4 points off Chelsea. If they lose this game, I dare say that their Champions League dreams are definitely over. But if Liverpool do win, it could have a big impact on when the Premier League is won. So if Liverpool do beat Manchester United on Sunday, and if Manchester City beat Crystal Palace on Saturday at 1:30, Manchester City will be crowned champions. So they could win the Premier League this weekend, meaning that at that point they will fully be able to focus on their second leg tie at home against PSG. So an exciting weekend. Any other fixtures that I wanted to talk about quickly? We have Aston Villa versus Everton at Goodison Park on Saturday at 9:00. Tottenham are taking on Sheffield United on Sunday at 8:15. And Burnley versus West Ham on Monday at 9:15. I think that is all of the games. The ones I'm most looking forward to, I think it has to be Manchester United, Liverpool, and Brighton Leeds. I think it's going to be a good game.
A weekend full of football, just as we like it. And moving on to Europe's other 3 top leagues, Rory, as we are recording, we've got a new table leader in La Liga, as Barcelona are currently winning 1-0 against Granada, thanks to a goal by, what's his name? The Argentinian dude, Rory. Messi.
The short one. Oh, that's him. Yeah. The short one.
Talking about Messi, we've got a new enemy of football, Rory, to mention, and his name is Enrico Preziosi. You might have heard this name. He's the president and the club owner of Genoa Football Club, but back in the day, he was the president at Como. And he talked to Sky Sport the other day, and he revealed that when he was the president at Como, his man, Mr. Favero, who was a scout for Como in Argentina, called him up and said, "Hey, dude, there is this guy who's very talented. He's 14 years old. Now, they want 40,000 euros for him." And he was like, well, I don't know, man. I didn't feel, this is quote unquote, I didn't feel like spending all that money on a guy so young and so tiny. And so he was like, "Mr. Favero, thank you very much. We don't need him." What the fuck, man? How football history could have changed. He goes to Genoa the next season. He goes to Como the next season. He's sold either to Juventus, Inter, or AC Milan. And history would have changed forever, I think.
Well, there's a similar story in Sheffield United had the chance. They brought 2 young Argentinians on trial. One of the names I can't remember. One of the names you definitely know. And they decided to sign the other one, and they passed up on Diego Armando Maradona. So Sheffield United, there's a long list of these. I think Blackburn passed up the chance to sign Zidane because they had Tim Sherwood. There's quite a few of them where you're like, how the football could have been different. One more for Blackburn, just to annoy Blackburn fans, sorry, but they did have the chance to sign Lewandowski. But do you remember that volcano that went off in Iceland?
Yes.
The plane couldn't take off from Poland, so he couldn't go to Blackburn, so instead he joined Dortmund.
What?
Yeah, it's insane, right? Insane. But we're talking about La Liga anyway. Wow.
Yeah, Iceland coming in clutch for Borussia Dortmund. But we're in La Liga, where Barcelona are currently, if they do win this game, and you will know it by the time they're listening, they would be first with 74 points, followed by the other team from Madrid at 73, followed by the one team in Madrid at 71, followed by Sevilla at 70. Who are these teams playing over the weekend? On Saturday, we've got at 4:15 Elche taking on Atletico Madrid. And the same day at night at 9 p.m., we've got Real Madrid taking on Osasuna. And then on Sunday at 9 p.m., Valencia-Barcelona. Oh. So a team desperately looking for points to survive, facing a team desperately looking for points to completely turn this shitty season around and at least go back home with a title. Who are Sevilla playing? That is a good question, Tommaso, because I can't find them because they're playing on Monday night against Athletic Club at home. So one of the most exciting title races is going to be decided in the next few games.
Talking about Athletic Club, I saw a unbelievable story this week. So Inaki Williams, who came through their youth system, I was reading about their family. So their family walked from Ghana to Spain, right? By the time they got to Spain, their dad had lost all sensation in his feet, right?
No wonder.
Right. Inaki Williams makes he's now got over 100 appearances for Athletic Club, and now his younger brother Nico has just made his debut for Athletic Bilbao, and I just think it's such a nice feel-good story. These kind of refugees who have turned up to a country, found a home in the Basque Country, and now their sons are becoming heroes in their new town. It just warms your heart. It's what we love to see about football.
Definitely. And in case you're wondering, from Accra, Ghana to Spain, it's quite a long way. But yeah, man, beautiful story. Another beautiful story as we move on to Bundesliga, actually DFB Pokal, is the story that I read for the first time this week, thanks to a great Instagram page that I really, really like called Storie di, which means histories of, on Instagram. It's about Julian Nagelsmann. Now, we know that this guy is set to become Bayern Munich manager and for next season. Not many people know that when he was only 20 years old and a football player, his father committed suicide. He then was playing for Thomas Tuchel at Mainz, and while he was out for injury because he had a knee injury, Thomas Tuchel asked him to work for him as a scout while he was recovering from his injury. He didn't go back to playing football because the injury was very bad, and he decided to become a football manager. And at 28, he became the youngest manager ever in the Bundesliga. He's refused repeatedly, from what he said, the Bayern Munich and the Real Madrid job. He debuted as the coach for Hoffenheim, saved them from relegation, and then he ended the following season 4th and 3rd, qualifying for the Champions League. In 2020, at 33 years old, he became a Leipzig manager. He took them all the way to the Champions League semifinal, and now he's set to be the manager of the world champions. Talk about a feel-good story. It really was impressive to read all this. I didn't know this about
it is. And there's a lot of people saying, oh, it's just Bayern Munich. And we, including myself, and then I read about him, and he is a Bayern Munich fan. He is he kind of grew up and lived in Munich for a long time. It's not just simply a case of Bayern Munich poaching the greatest talent. I think he always kind of wanted it. He always wanted this job, and now he's managed to get it. What a rise. He makes me feel like I am not achieving enough if he is only 30, what is he, 38? Maybe?
No, man, he's younger than that. He's like 35, I think.
Christ, he's only 5 years younger than me. Right, I've got 5 years to win the Champions League, right? Should I do it? That's my aim. By the time
You've done it on Football Manager already.
Oh, mate, I've done it with Crew Alex. Do that, Nagelsmann, right?
Yeah, who's this guy, Nagelsmann? What a retard. Fuck you, Nagelsmann.
Right? I've done it every year, bro, for about 10 years. Yeah.
Who are you? God, sorry, guys, to take your time. Sorry, guys, to take your time with that boring Nagelsmann story.
Yeah.
But Rory, what is all of
reels.
the DFB Pokal action this weekend, as they would say in Germany?
DFB Pokal, and the exciting one, the most exciting one, I think, is Dortmund versus Holstein Kiel. So we love seeing a lower division side in the latter stages of a cup competition. And now Holstein Kiel, the last time they reached the semi-finals of the DFB Pokal was all the way back in 1940, 1941, where they would go on to lose 6-0 to Schalke. So fingers crossed it goes better for them this time. Holstein Kiel are currently fourth in the Bundesliga's fight, 1 point off the playoff spot behind Hamburg. So they're having a very good season, obviously in very good form, and will fancy their chances. But Dortmund have a bit of pedigree in this competition. The last time they won it was in 16-17. Goals from Ousmane Dembele and Aubameyang as they beat Frankfurt 2-1. So this will be a really interesting game to watch. And this is on Monday at 8:30. I just need to double check that. Is it Monday or Sunday? Because I didn't write it in my notes. It's Monday at 8:30. And in the other tie on Friday, again at 8:30, we have Werder Bremen versus RB Leipzig. So the aforementioned Nagelsmann, will he leave Leipzig with at least a cup? I think it would be a nice way for him to end the season and say goodbye. RB Leipzig last got to the final in 18-19, where they lost to Bayern. Werder equally, the last time they got to the final was in 09-10, where they also lost to Bayern. But they have actually won this competition, the last time being in 08-09, where they beat Leverkusen 1-0, a goal from Mesut Ozil. But all the talk around Leipzig this weekend is about Jesse Marsch, coming from their sister team in Austria, Red Bull Salzburg. He is another highly, highly rated manager coming through that through the club. He is an American coach, Tommy. He's American. He's the first American coach, right? Crazy.
Just like Pulisic is the first American to ever score in a Champions League semi-final. Kudos to you, American friends.
So we're going to have our first American coach in the Champions League next year, which is going to be pretty crazy. But the other person who could be joining him across the border is, and we've talked about my Football Manager record this year, this guy is killing it for me with my Newcastle team, Patson Daka. He is set to be the highest or the most expensive Zambian of all time. He's absolutely crushing it in Austria, and he's expected to move to Leipzig in the summer, following the likes of Szoboszlai, etc., in that well-traveled path. But that is the action in the DFB Pokal. In the Bundesliga, there's only one game, and it's a relegation battle. We have Mainz taking on Hertha Berlin. Mainz, who we've talked about for the past 2 weeks, Bo Svensson doing magic down there. Hertha Berlin looking in trouble. So Hertha definitely need a win. They're unbeaten in their last 3. Mainz unbeaten in like their last 8, winning in their last 3. So that game is on... where's the notes? I clicked on the wrong Word document. It is it is on Monday at 6:00. Mainz versus Hertha. Relegation battle. My money is on Mainz.
By the way, whenever we think of the Super League and people are so bad, they just think about money. The system is so beautiful as it is. Don't ruin it. Don't forget that Bayern Munich are paying 25 million euros to get Julian Nagelsmann from RB Leipzig. So, how fair is football as it stands? Not that fair. To get that manager for that money that many teams don't have, it kind of sucks.
Oh, it does massively, but they are using that money to bring in Patson Daka from Salzburg. Apparently, they are saying, "Oh, the striker you wanted, well, we're going to get him now."
They have a huge chance in rebuilding their team with that 25 million.
Yeah.
They will do, but at the same time, when we think that the Super League was all about greedy people, soccer is already about greedy people. Don't worry about that. Who has the more money? As the system is right now, we'll get the best manager and the best players. No way around it.
Unfortunately, not. But let's quickly go to Ligue 1 before I'm going to have a little bit of a spell talking Spotify and how they're going to enter the footballing world. But let's go to Ligue 1. very, very quickly, we are just going to focus on the title race for today. We have more incredibly exciting games, but the first one is going to be PSG versus Lens. Now, we've talked about how Lens are going to have a big say in this title race. They are playing at the Parc des Princes on Saturday at 5 o'clock. Last time, Lens won 1-0, so this is not going to be an easy game for the Parisians. But at home, they've not been convincing at home this year, so I think Lens have got a shout here. This is definitely a game to keep an eye on. Elsewhere in the title race, still top of the table, Lille take on Nice, who have been badly struggling. This is on Saturday at 9 o'clock. Last time, it was 1-1. Of course, Yilmaz scored. Lille will be hoping to just keep pressing forward. They've faced their two biggest challenges with PSG and Lyon last weekend. So I think now it's just about them being efficient and getting the job done. Then finally, in the title race on Sunday at 8:30, we have Monaco versus Lyon. Now, Lyon have found themselves out of the title race after last weekend's antics, but can they pull Monaco out of the title race with them? Last time, Monaco won 2-0. Goals from Kevin Volland and, of course, Ben Yedder. That is on Sunday at 8:30. The title race in France is still looking tight as fuck. So definitely worth keeping an eye out on.
Nice. And that is all for our weekend of football. But Rory, I hear you're a music fan and you want to talk about Spotify, your favorite music app.
I'm just going to start with fuck Apple Music. Get your money in Spotify Premium. I've been putting my money in for years, and it turns out I've slowly been buying a part of Arsenal Football Club. Fantastic to hear. Obviously, we are a long, long way from this even possibly being a possibility, but I'm really excited by this. I know that he's making all the right noises about, I'm an Arsenal fan. I've been an Arsenal fan for 30 years. Look, we have to take him at face value. If he's saying that, people around him are saying that he is, I'm just going to believe him. Either way, it's better than having the Cronkies. But the best thing about this deal is that he has got on board, and I honestly just get excited saying these three names together. Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, and Patrick Vieira are all attached to the project. Now,
Go again. Say them again.
Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, and Patrick Vieira. Like, if you asked any Arsenal fan my age, who are the three biggest Arsenal legends, those would be the three names I think you would say, quite possibly in that order. It is beautiful to see these names attached. Another name who's been attached is secret billionaire ex-footballer Matthew Flamini, who made a load of money from environmental business, renewable energy. He's chucking his name in the hat. Getting the old band back together. Let's do it.
You know how they called him at AC Milan? Chapeau Mathieu.
I like that.
Hats off, Mathieu. Chapeau, Mathieu.
I like that. I like a bit of Flamini. Obviously, the Cronkies have come out and said they don't want to sell. Of course, they're not going to come out and say we want to sell. So what do you expect? I think it's going to take a lot for them to sell. I think it's going to take a long time. But I think the first step is in place of the club being sold. Whether it's sold to Daniel Ek or whether it's sold to someone else, I think we're in the first step of seeing them maybe take a step down. I don't, at this point, like, honestly, if Ek bought it, that is my dream situation at this point. But more importantly is just about getting the Cronkies out. But I just needed to talk about this because when I saw the Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Patrick Vieira, oh my God, I screamed like a little girl.
Yeah, man, that is quite something to know that there is a big company with a fan in that company who is intended to buy your club, and knowing that he's backed by 3/4 legends of that club, it's absolutely great news to hear. Completely unrelated, Rory. I'm going to tell you something that you might not know, but I was thinking about it because Flamini, then I thought about Platini. You have to think that all these names are originally Italian. So Flamini is definitely from an Italian village. His family emigrated God knows when, and then he got the French citizenship. Platini, now I know for a fact, and Roy, I've never told you this, Platini is a last name from Pombia in the province of Novara in Piemonte. Wow. And who was born in Pombia? My grandmother. I talked to her on the phone before recording. She's 93 years old right now. But her best friend as a kid was a girl named Platini. And this girl is nothing but a distant cousin of my grandmother's. And also, I believe that her grandfather is the brother of Michel Platini's grandfather. So
that's complicated. It's going to take me a minute to get that straight in my head.
It's super complicated. I've never told you this just because I don't have all the relations like down in place. But Platini, this is to say that Platini, Flamini, Messi, these are all Italian last names. We deserve a better national team. I think, to be honest, Flamini would be doing well to get into the Italian national team. But the other two, definitely. And one last thing that I want to say, talking about Europe, Rory, I haven't asked you about this, but have you seen the rumored third kit for Ajax next season?
Oh, it looks like the weed smoker's dream football kit.
I know, cultural appropriation. I do not give a shit. That is the sickest. That is the sickest football kit ever, and I'm a very cheap person, but I'm definitely going to put my money in for that one.
I was thinking of buying it, I'll be honest. We may have just admitted something about ourselves that we didn't want to admit, but it's fine. We're definitely going to buy that shirt. Yeah.
Inspired to Three Little Birds? Yes, please. From a huge reggae fan, I'm ready. But Rory, I believe it's time for our weekly topic.
It is, and we are taking you back. We had a lot of fun doing this last time, so we thought we'd give it another go. We're going to be taking you through 3 of our favorite YouTube clips and talking about why we love them. And here we are. During lockdown, we have all had plenty of time to spend days on end watching YouTube and wasting away the hours. Well, while we've been doing this, we've slowly, quietly been compiling a list of our favorite YouTube clips, and we are here to present another 3 each to you. I really enjoyed it last time. I hope you guys enjoyed it because we're going to do it again, so you best enjoy it. Tommy, you looking forward to it?
I'm super looking forward to it. In case you you can't know because you're listening and you don't know me and Rory personally, but we've just quickly discussed the 3 clips that we brought up, and I'm very excited, especially for Rory's. Yeah, last time it was a lot of fun. I feel like we've all been spending a lot of time on YouTube. Guess what? There is always a new football video that you can find. Rory, do you want to go first, or shall I bring my first pick to the table?
I'm going to let you go first. Let's go. Number 1.
So, number 1, of course, it's not in order of preference, but I'm going to start with a clip featuring one of my favorite players of all time and some of his best favorite goals. Of course, we are going to have, you can check on the episode description, we're going to put all the links to these videos so you can enjoy them too. But the name of my first video is Steven Gerrard, the Sniper, best goals ever. Now, quoting my friend Robbie Pigozzi from the United States of America, he's got the most mafioso name I have ever heard in my life. Robbie Pigozzi, he said, if you send me a football video and there is no house soundtrack on the back, I'm not even going to bother and watch it because football highlights are best when there is a super late 1990s, early 2000s house soundtrack. Guess what? This video has got it. And it features some of the best goals from one of my favorite players of all time, Steven Gerrard. I had the luck to see him play live at the San Siro against Inter Milan. Unfortunately, Liverpool did win that game, but I will always, always, always be thankful to Steven Gerrard for snatching that Champions League from AC Milan. And overall, I mean, what a player, Rory. Would he make your all-time 11?
I think if it's like Premier League 11, yeah, undoubtedly he's got to be in the midfield. I was also lucky enough to watch him. I watched him at Anfield in the Champions League against Napoli, where Napoli were winning the game, I want to say 2-0, and Gerrard was on the bench. I can't remember what year this was. It was when there was a lot of trouble between Liverpool and Napoli. I remember it was that year. But Gerrard came off the bench and absolutely turned the game around. They ended up winning the game 3-2. I think he has to be up there as in the all-time Premier League 11. Obviously, the first thing most people say is he never won the Premier League, but he won a lot of other things around that. And I think as far as like talismanic players for their clubs go, you can't get much better than Steven Gerrard. But we need to talk about some of his goals, right?
Man, the thing that I love about this video, don't forget, it's called The Sniper. So it features quite a few snipes. I remember, Rory, when I was a kid and we had this show, I do not recall the name, where we could see goals from around Europe, and I saw players like Gerrard, Lampard, and so on. I really had a feeling that the ball was going faster in the Premier League than in the Serie A. And some of these Gerrard snipes, they are out of nowhere. You will see the holding midfielder, all the defender, leaving him space because they're like, there is no way he's going to take the aim and shoot. But then he takes 1 step, 1 second to turn his decision into shooting towards goal. And man, some of these snipes from like 3/4 of the midfield, they're outrageous.
It's when he used to let the ball roll across his body and you just knew he was going to hit it. Now, there's 2 goals that stick in my mind. Funnily enough, neither of them are in the Premier League, but the 2 goals that stick in my mind are the last-second equaliser or the winner against Olympiacos with the Andy Gray, "Yeah, beauty," as he's like screaming. Anfield goes insane to get them through to, I believe that was probably the semi-finals that got them through to. I'd have to quite remember. And the other long range is, of course, in the FA Cup final against West Ham. Sorry, Tom. But he hits it from an outrageous distance to put Liverpool into the lead. And yeah, the defining image in my head is the ball rolling across his body, and you can just see that he's shaping up to hit it. And every defender's just stood there going, I've given him a second too long. And he just pings it top corner. And it's just as the great Alan Partridge once said, a foot like a traction engine.
Nice. Man, Steven Gerrard really makes me emotional when I think about growing up watching football. He felt very exotic, very British, very Liverpool, one-man club, great midfielder, always showed up on the big occasions. Besides brilliant goals, there is another one called Steven Gerrard most important goals because he used to show up when needed. And I would say one last thing about good old Stevie, who's a customary listener of the podcast, of course. Stevie, I will never forget your celebration after putting only 1 past AC Milan in that final. I will say it until the day I die. You are 3-1 down against arguably the best team in the world. In the first half, your team has done absolutely nothing. You are doomed to lose. But the way he scores that header, goes to pick up the ball, looks at the Liverpool supporters in Istanbul and is like, so what? Are we in the game or what? And you hear the reaction of the crowd. That is a captain, ladies and gentlemen. That is Steven Gerrard. That is my first pick. Steven Gerrard, the sniper, best goals ever. Rory, let's go to you.
Okay, I'm trying to think about what order to go, but number 1, I'm going to save the best till last, but number 1, we can go for a video. Now, I think I talked previously about how when I'm tired and emotional or hungover, I enjoy watching sad videos on the internet. And the first one we're going to watch is a very sad video, and it is called Legends, Footballers, Top 15 Emotional Farewells in Footballs, Legends Saying Goodbye. Now, this video boasts such names as Iniesta, Xavi, Kahn, Schweinsteiger, Del Piero, Ibra, although that wasn't really goodbye, Raul, Baggio, Terry, Gerrard, Casillas, Iniesta. But the one that always gets me more than any other player, well, there's 2. I've talked about it before, how the Totti farewell really, really, really gets me. And if you've not watched Mi Chiamo Francesco Totti, you need to watch it, because how that documentary ends with that farewell is powerful. But David Beckham saying goodbye to PSG in this video just gets me. He just bursts into tears on the pitch, and the players all kind of lift him and throw him in the air. And I think what is the beautiful thing about this video is that a lot of footballers don't get to decide when their last game is, right? Or they don't know when their last game is. It's an injury. It's their career peters out and they're released. It could end in a million different ways. But what we see here, because these players are so kind of legendary and they mean so much to their clubs, that they get to kind of stage direct their own exits, right? They get to say goodbye properly. And I think it's not only because the players are so fantastic, like all of these players are like all-time greats. It's the fact that you see how much the people in the crowd care. So like even like Juventus fans, I have no love for Juventus fans, but seeing how they react to Del Piero saying goodbye, I think really chokes me up. The same for Real Madrid saying goodbye to Raul. It's just a lovely video to watch. You get to see these legends kind of, it's just sad and I like it.
Yeah, just think that Del Piero wasn't allowed in a Champions League game for Juventus after he retired from Juventus because they didn't have a ticket for him. Yeah, that happened for real. But when I think about goodbyes, I don't know if it features in this one specific video, but I remember a very emotional footage of Andres Iniesta saying goodbye to Barcelona. And
it's in there.
And sitting barefoot in the Camp Nou as the lights are going off, and you see this guy who at that point just looks like a kid sitting down without his shoes on the turf where he's played so many games, scored so many goals, won so many trophies. And I really thought, I mean, it's very easy, the job, so to say, that we have just talking about footballers. But when it comes to actually living and understanding those emotions, I think it goes beyond us. And that picture of Iniesta, such a tiny person in front of such a massive stadium, and imagining what it means for the people in Barcelona was something absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I think like because not many people are in a job they absolutely love, right? And we're not many, yeah, snap. And not many people are in a job that they are incredibly, like, that they were born to do, right? And I think they're seeing them realize that it's the last time they'll get to do what they absolutely love it's a powerful moment. Like okay, it's not the last time they'll play football, but it's the last time they'll play football in front of 80,000 people. It's where it matters, right? It's the last time they get to do what they were born to do. And that is just, you can just boil it down to that simple fact. That is why it's powerful, because it's these people realizing that this period of their life is finished and now they can move on to the next. Now, a lot of them have gone on to own fashion brands or just fucking put their feet up in the sun and like living their best life. Like none of them are going to be too sad now, but I think just seeing them realize that this chapter has come to an end is really powerful, and it helps that they are all icons of the modern game. But the David Beckham one just hits me different. I've no idea why. It really gets me.
Well, if you think about it, Beckham, more than the symbol of a specific club, was the symbol of a footballing generation. And we will have our episode about those three players that really changed the football forever.
Yeah.
But in a way or the other, Beckham was up there with them. So yeah, really a symbol of the 2000s.
And the thing is, just one last thing, he didn't go out, like, he went out like a champion as well, to be fair. He went on loan to Milan, where I'm pretty sure he won stuff with Milan. Then he went to PSG, where he won the league with PSG. He went out like still playing bloody good football. He was right till the end. He was still there. He fought his way back into the England team. I've got a lot of love for Beckham, and seeing him, it's brutal. It's brutal, that clip. But as much as I've said how brutal it is, you have to watch the video. It's just a really nice 10-minute video where you can give your personal thanks to these greats of the game.
Moving on to my second video, this one is going to be quick. Then you can find it on the link on the description, of course. But if you want to type Juventus 4-0 Udinese, Paul Pogba goal, amazing angle, all in capital. Now, this goal happened on January 19th, 2013. I remember it as if it was yesterday. I can't believe 8 years have gone by already. I was at the pub with my friends. Juventus won that game 4-0. But man, there was something about that Pogba strike. And I felt like we didn't have the right angle from the TV. Thank God that a fan was filming this at the stadium. It's just watch the entire footage because it actually gives you an idea of how it reminds you of how you watch football at the stadium. You see a few passes, and then all of a sudden Pogba gets this ball who's gotten by a defender. It's a header to clear it, and then Pogba puts it down, hits it with the outside of his right boot. And from this specific angle, you can really appreciate the beauty of it. Of course, besides the beauty of the goal, it makes me a little emotional because I remember the feeling of being at the stadium. Sometimes from the angle where you are, a shot doesn't seem like it's going to go. A lot of other shots look like a goal. This one looks just absolutely insane, but then it does go in. And it's brilliant. We're talking about peak Pogba when the guy was like 20, 21 years old, I want to say. And man, he was 20 at the time. So yeah, this is one of my favorite Pogba goals.
I was just watching it again. He hits it with the outside of his foot and it bends outside of the goal and drops back into the far corner. It is a ridiculous hit. Premier League fans think that Papi Cisse goal against Chelsea, but more outrageous. What a hit.
Man, yeah, go watch this video. Rory just described it beautifully. One of those goals that I saw at the stadium, you know when your perspective is all effed up and you can't tell if it's going to go in or not? So Inter Milan, Schalke, we get in the stadium like 3 minutes after kickoff. As we're taking our seats, we see that Dejan Stankovic hit from midfield, but we were exactly behind Dejan Stankovic. And so when he first hit it, it looked like it was going to go way out. And I remembered the noise at the stadium. I'm going to try and replicate it. It went like, oh, go. Man, at first it looked like it was going to go out of the stadium, and then it drops and it goes in. That was one of my best stadium memories, and this is the video, my second video on YouTube that I have for you. Rory, what's your second pick?
Okay, well, no, I was going to say, is that the best goal you've seen? Do you think what's the best goal you've seen live? The Stankovic one?
No, the best goal I've seen live was, I think the best goal I've seen live was Stankovic, but then I think of Maicon scoring the 4-2 against AC Milan after a crazy derby. And that derby, we had a say in AC Milan winning the title because with that win, Juventus won the title. And okay, listeners of the pod, you know it. We do drink. We do use light drugs. I was completely out there during that game. And that game had started with AC Milan going up 1-0, Inter Milan going up 2-1, then 2-2, and then 3-2, 4-2. When that 4-2 came, I remember just being projected like 7 rows down with something smokeable in my mouth. And this guy picked me up and the smokeable I had in my mouth. And he like looked at me. With one hand, he was holding me. With the other hand, he gave me back the marijuana cigarette. And he gives it to me. I recollect myself. And then he looks at me and he goes, "Dai cazzo," which means let's go, God damn it. And I gave the biggest hug to that dude. So I think that was definitely the most emotional goal I've ever seen, also because we ended up losing the game against Schalke 5-2. So yeah, but Rory, what about you? The most beautiful goal you've seen at the stadium?
I think the goal I've most gone crazy to was Crew Alexandra drew Manchester United in the League Cup, and we played them at Gresty Road. And this was a Manchester United team with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Gabriel Heinze. It was a very, very, very good United team. And they went 1-0 up through Solskjaer. And hell of a finish. Like, and the goal was right. Like, we used to always stand behind the goal at Crewe, and we saw like Solskjaer was looking straight at us as he hit the goal. It's a beautiful finish. But Luke Varney equalised for Crewe Alexandra, and I have never gone more mental in my life. There was me and 3 of my friends from school, and I had my Arsenal shirt on underneath my jumper, which is such a wanker move. But when we scored, I went absolute, like, I've never gone as insane as a goal. Like, for Crewe Alexandra to score against Manchester United was unbelievable. I can go into this game another time, but we genuinely could have fucking won that game. We came so close. We lost in extra time, but that goal was the most mental I've gone in the stadium. But
Man,
I think the best...
missed it. I miss going to the stadium.
Yeah, I miss it so bloody much. But the best goal, I think, in terms of like technical ability or like impressive goal was probably, I remember it was Thierry Henry at Anfield, and it was in the cup. I think it was like the FA Cup or the League Cup. I can't remember, but I got a ticket last minute, went to Anfield. It was a night match, like Anfield at night. The atmosphere was amazing. Thierry Henry dribbles past like 3 Liverpool players, just slots it into the bottom corner. And the best moment is I was quite near the front, and he slides on his knees to celebrate. And I swear to God, at that moment, he looked in my eyes. And I honestly, it was incredible. It was a beautiful goal. It was a beautiful man. It was a beautiful moment. I fucking loved it.
Man, I miss it so much. And by the way, about that Maicon goal that I was telling about, I didn't mention it just because it was so important and it won a derby for us. But that strike came from, I mean, I always say dalla tre quarti, from the 3 quarters, but it did come from the 3 quarters of the
field.
I've
seen the goal. It's from fucking miles away.
Man, I remember literally seeing, my memory of this moment is just seeing the ball go in, and then imagine from like point of view, you see just like things rolling. You find yourself 7 rows down. This big man picks me up, gives me a huge hug, tells me if I can find my friend. I see my friend Michael like cheering, like, what the fuck? He helped me up. Man, I miss those moments. I remember like coming back from the San Siro sometimes, many times, like silent, not speaking, after we had lost the 3-0 to Bologna, for example, at home. But other moments were like, I was just feeling sore. My body was just sore. Like, oh God,
I remember the celebrations from the Milan derby where I ended up about 5 rows down after the late Icardi winner and being pinned to like the concrete steps. But it's just incredible. We'll be back soon enough. Before me and Tommy start crying, we will be back in the stadium soon.
One last thing, and then we can move on with the videos. I will always remember during a derby, I wouldn't be able to let you know which one, but like, this family of like tourists, I believe they were Spanish. So mother, father, and 2 kids, they arrive like 3 minutes before kickoff, and they are literally looking for their seats. Now, if you've been at the stadium in Italy, you know that your seat is not a thing. And I see everybody in the curva is being super rude, like, get the fuck away, like, find any seat. And at a moment, I just go there and I'm like, hey, do you need help? And they're like, yeah, where are our seats? Like, they're supposed to be here. I was like, no. It doesn't work that way. Just find a seat. You want to stay here? And they were like, yeah, can we? And I was like, yeah. And we watched the entire derby with like this Spanish family. Man, I miss it. Rory, your second video. Let's go.
Second video. Okay, let's do it. Now, this is, I've weirdly gone for 2 adverts, but this is the first of the advertising campaigns. And it's called Puma Hard Chorus. Now, we're going to play you one of the songs here, but the idea behind this advertising campaign was that they had the kind of ultras or the firms sing popular love songs in a football chant style. And my favorite one is Savage Garden, Truly Madly Deeply. It is unbelievable. Like, all the actors in it, they look like, I'm just going to say, they look like West Ham fans, right? But it's amazing the way they sing the songs. They've done it in German, they've done it in French, they've done it in Italian. Now, Tommy, you know the Italian song. I'm not sure which one it is. I don't know who the original is. I just remember it's Ti amo. Ti amo. That's all I remember.
It's Umberto Tozzi. Ti amo, ti amo. Prendi la mia mano. Ti amo, ti amo.
That's the best thing. So what they've done is they've taken these really slow, calm, beautiful songs and turn them into like football chants, and they're really like aggressive. And I thought this advertising campaign was so clever. The t-shirts were really cool. It was like a love heart equals and then a football. All the money went to charity from this advertising campaign for the t-shirts. Really cool idea. And it just makes me think of all the kind of creative football chants that you get. I think in England it's more, well, you'd be able to tell me this, but I feel like in England it's more common for like popular songs to be turned into football chants. Whereas in Italy, the football chants they've always been songs, right? So like Solo Inter was written for Inter, right?
Yeah.
Whereas there's like videos in the 60s of Liverpool fans singing the Beatles in the stadium, or we'll like change pop songs to fit certain players' names. And I just feel like this is quite an interesting difference. And it's something that we talk about quite a lot with us being an Anglo-Italian pod. We are interested in the differences between the fan culture. And I think it's another one that's quite interesting of how we kind of take popular culture and turn it into football chants.
No. I absolutely agree. There are a few chants following the English trend, a few popular Italian songs that have been turned into football chants, but definitely it's not the same level as English football. But yeah, man, you showed me those videos, and I think it was a very good initiative from Puma. Yeah,
from Puma. Yeah, exactly. I think it's just really clever. It's something that like it weirdly gets me like pumped up when they're singing Savage Garden. There's something that it just really does something to me. But Tommy, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot and say, what is your favorite chant for Inter?
We were talking about it yesterday with Michael, actually. What is the chant that I miss the most? And there is one that goes like this. It doesn't really relate to me because I have never been to that many away games, right. But it goes, occhio raga ci tirano le pietre giù. Occhio raga ci tirano le pietre giù. Se pietre tireranno, dal pullman scenderemo. Per questa Inter noi combatteremo, which means... Occhio raga, ci tirano le pietre. Watch out, guys, they're throwing us rocks. And you go, giù, and everybody drops. And everybody drops down. Then it's like, watch out, guys, they're throwing us stones, and everybody goes down. And then it goes, if they'll throw us stones, we will go down from the bus, and for the colors of Inter Milan, we're going to fight. And then it's followed by la 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 la.
I like it. I feel like, very poetic, very Italian. I don't know, very poetic and heartfelt.
Which one is your favorite?
I don't know. I feel like in English football, we have quite a few like funny ones and like ones that are kind of like tongue in cheek. The one that always makes me laugh, I feel like United always have really good chants. And when they had Park Ji-sung, the South Korean player, they had a song that was like, Park, Park, wherever you may be, you eat dogs in your own country. Not politically correct, but it could be worse. You could be Scouse eating rats in your council house, which always made me laugh, which is like, I feel like the way we do tongue-in-cheek comedy with songs always, I really love that about English football. I think Liverpool have some great ones. The one for Bobby Firmino weirdly gets stuck in my head all the time.
Which is it?
Now it's
all the time, but not now.
Yeah, not this exact moment. It's that. Give the ball to Bobby and he'll score. There's something that the cop wants you to know. The best in the world is Bobby Firmino. And then it slows down. He's like, number 9, give him the ball, he'll score every time. And then senor, give him the ball and he'll score, I think. But it sounds amazing when they're singing it. I've not said an Arsenal one yet, but I feel like Arsenal chants aren't that bloody interesting. But...
Or I will try to remember it off the top of my head. Oh, Balotelli, he's a striker, good at darts, got a wallet full of cash. When he drives around... No, wait. Oh, Balotelli, he's a striker. He's good at darts. I don't know. It was very funny from the City fans. And do you remember that scandal that Balotelli was throwing darts at the youth players from Man City? There was that in the chant as well. That was hilarious.
I feel like that's what we do best is like this, the tongue-in-cheek songs. But But I don't know, for Arsenal, I feel like...
Here he goes. Oh, Balotelli, he's a striker, good at darts, got an allergy to grass, but when he plays, it's fucking class. Got a wallet full of cash. When he drives around, I don't know, but it was pretty fun.
Yeah. No, I think that's our strength, is the tongue-in-cheek chants. There was an Arsenal one about Adebayor, which really wasn't politically correct, so I'm not going to sing that one. But moving on, Tommy, should we go on to your third clip?
Yes. Now, this one is the one I feel the strongest for of the three that I have selected. This is an all-time iconic moment in Serie A football, and the protagonist is Mr. Carlo Mazzone. Now, Carlo Mazzone is an absolute legend of the game. He's in the Italian Football Hall of Fame, and in 2019, Ascoli, a team he's coached for 7 years between 1968 and 1975, dedicated a section of the stadium to him. He is from Rome. He's one of the funniest managers that I can recall. And he's one of those guys that never really bothered to put a suit on before a game. He was always old school tracksuit and let's go. Now, this clip that you can find in the description to our episode is called the Brescia-Atalanta 3-3 Roberto Baggio, Carletto Mazzone. Now, in case you're not familiar with Italian geography, Brescia and Bergamo, they are two extremely close towns, and they absolutely hate each other, like all the towns that are not very far away from each other in Italy. Now, the Brescia-Bergamo derby is one of the most heated that there are in Italy, one of the most heated northern Italian derbies. In this specific video, we're in the Serie A 2000-2001 season. And after halftime, Brescia are down 3-1 against Atalanta. Baggio, towards the end of his career, he had just scored the one goal for Brescia. Now, at the time, Carletto Mazzone, as he's known in Italy, was coaching Brescia. So at halftime, his team was down 3-1. Now, the funny thing is that when he comes back on the pitch, for some reason, the Brescia fans keep insulting him. They keep singing his name. They say, "You're just a fat dude. You suck. We're winning 3-1. And just as they're doing that, Baggio once again scores the 3-2. So they're only one goal behind Atalanta. And at this point, you see clearly Carlo Mazzone, this old man in a tracksuit with white hair, doesn't even care about the game anymore. He's just pissed. He points at the Atalanta curva and he says, "We are going to score one and they're going to come right there. We are going to score one and we're going to go right there." Now, there is one of the most beautiful figures of these videos. I believe he's the assistant manager or somebody from the Brescia Football Club. He's got glasses, and ever since Mazzone points at the curva, this little guy is like giggling, but at the same time putting his hands over Mazzone. Just as you can imagine, Baggio, being the champion that he is, he does score a hat-trick. He makes it 3-3. And at that point, you see these five men trying to hold back Mazzone. And Mazzone
just watching it again, it's fantastic.
And Mazzone is just like, no, I told them I would fucking go. And there is this guy with the glasses, like, who holds on to like a piece of his jacket. And he's just like, "No, don't go." And Mazzone like tries to run away. And eventually he's all alone running towards the Atalanta curva. And he very openly goes, fuck you all. It's 3-3. Go back home. You fucking suck. And that is one of the most iconic of moments of Serie A football that I can think of. Click the link in description. The narrating voice is in Italian, but you can get the gist of it. It's
definitely all about the body language. I think you can definitely tell what he means.
Dude, 100%. Carlo Mazzone, he was born in 1937. He's still there with us. He's a great man. Sometimes he will make an appearance in Italian television. But especially, recently his name is popped up so many times as a character that people really respect, not only in Italian football, but like in Italian folklore in general. He's a very smart guy. He's had a great career. And that moment will never be forgotten by any Italian fans. You type his name on Google Images, that is one of the first pictures that comes out.
I love it. I love a manager meltdown. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, it is the 25th anniversary of Kevin Keegan having his meltdown on live TV in the title race against Manchester United. So I feel like I do love a manager meltdown. We don't get that many and not that animated in England. I'm trying to think of other kind of big manager meltdowns on the pitch. Not even meltdowns, just reactions. I suppose Mourinho against United for Porto is a kind of very famous one, right? Where he sprints down the touchline at Old Trafford as Porto get the winner.
And yesterday,
Wenger getting kicked out into the Old Trafford crowd is always one of my favorites in terms of like managers being like heckled.
Yesterday it was the anniversary, the 11th, oh my God, anniversary of Inter losing against Barcelona 1-0 at the Camp Nou, but advancing to the final. And Mourinho, Mourinho posted that picture. You know what I thought of as soon as I saw that picture? I thought of Tottenham fans. You will never leave that emotion. I understand why you sacked Mourinho, but like 3 days after being sacked, he posts one of the most iconic pictures of his career. Him storming the pitch with the Camp Nou staff, turning on the sprinkling water. Like, oh my God, that is insane. Tottenham fans,
it gets better. He had a photo of that hanging up in his office in the Tottenham Hotspur training ground. You saw it on All or Nothing. Like, he fucking loves that moment. But I think going back to the clip, what I love about this clip is it's like massive kind of like angry grandpa at a party vibes. Like if I saw this guy sat outside a cafe on the street in Milan, I wouldn't even think twice. If you know what I mean, like smoking a cigarette, drinking his coffee and moaning about the fucking weather or the football. I absolutely love it. He's overweight. He's lost all composure. His mate's trying to drag him back, but he couldn't give a fuck. It's such a great clip. I love it. I'm trying to think which manager in the Premier League would most do it at the moment. I'm going to kind of go, I'd love to see Sean Dyche do it for Burnley. I feel like he's got that physical and the voice, having that shouting at you, shit yourself. But like, I feel like he's got the physicality for it.
One last thing about this clip, when he interviewed about what happened, like right after the game, Mazzone comes up with the funniest answer. Is like, these are the type of situations where I like to say that I have a twin brother who can't control himself. And I was just like, it's such a stupid explanation, but we love it and we'll take it.
That is class.
And I was reading up on this thing. You know that last year, Sassuolo manager De Zerbi, for Carlo Mazzone's birthday, he gifted him a huge painting depicting that moment, him running towards the Atalanta curva. And I found a little clip of Mazzone. Now he's a very old man sitting on his chair with this painting saying, "Thank you, De Zerbi. It's one of my favorite moments in football." And at the end of the video, he says, "Never forget, that was my twin brother."
That's great. I love him. I absolutely love him. That's brilliant.
So let's move on to your last clip, Rory.
Final clip. Now, this is like, you know that we love to look backwards and reminisce. And we're going back from my childhood. And one of the biggest, I used to get so excited when this came on television. I've already said it's an advert and it's a series of adverts, but there's a video on YouTube where you can watch the whole tournament. And I am, of course, talking about Nike, The Cage, The Secret Tournament. Now, this blew my mind as a child. When I first saw this advert, I just could not believe that they got all of these footballers in the same room. Like, to see, like, well, let's just go through the teams, right? So I'm going to go through the teams that took part.
The teams are insane. I remember Davids being in one of the best teams possibly.
So the names are great, right? We've first got Triple Espresso, which is Thierry Henry, Totti, and Nakata. Oh my God! Right then, nice. the one touchables: Vieira, Van Nistelrooy, and Paul Scholes. Toros Locos, Lundberg, Saviola, and Luis Enrique. Cerberus, we've got Edgar Davids, Lilian Thuram, and Sylvain Wiltord.
This one's a good one.
Yeah. Osh Tornados, Luis Figo, Roberto Carlos, and the Ronaldo. Then
Damn.
I think my favorite name, Funk Seoul Brothers, Danielson, Ronaldinho, and Sol Ki-hyun. I literally have not thought about Sol Ki-hyun since, I don't know, like 20 years. What a player that guy was. My God. Then Tutto Bene, Fabio Cannavaro, Rosicki, and Rio Ferdinand. And then finally, Equipo del Juego, Claudio Lopez, Gaizka Mendieta, and Hernan Crespo. Now, this...
I think it's between the Three Espressos and the Os Tornados, I think.
Well, funnily enough, that was the final, right?
Wow.
So
it was a real tournament, guys. Way before the Super League, people played the cage.
Now, well, the thing is, right, you look at it, it's like, oh, it's all 1-0. But then the whole thing was Cantona going first goal wins, right? So, of course, it's 1-0. Now, I remember the moment that stuck in my mind from this advert, and it's because, obviously, I was obsessed with both Thierry Henry and Francesco Totti. Listeners of the pod will know I am still obsessed with them. So for them to be in the same team, and then the goal, right, is when Totti leans over to tie his shoelaces, and then Henry steps on his back and heads it into the goal, right?
Brilliant.
And obviously, I know it's set up, right? I know it's a fucking advert, right? You don't have to ruin it for me. But as a kid, I was like, oh my God, that's like the best thing I've ever seen. Roberto Carlos scores an amazing, like, scorpion kick, where he like back heels it and it goes straight into the goal. Again, I know it's probably not real, but let me watch this video and just believe that all of it is 100% real. I absolutely love it.
I am so glad you brought up this. I never thought about adverts when we discussed about having a weekly topic about our favorite YouTube clips. But man, early 2000s, do you remember all of the Pepsi commercials where they were dressed as gladiators, Totti, Beckham, Ronaldinho, and they had to fight against the barbarians coming in Rome. And of course, it all came down to a match of football and they would absolutely humiliate like the barbarians. It was wonderful.
There's a really hilarious one that's set in like the cowboy, like the Wild West, and they're trying to make Beckham look really hard, and then he walks up to the bar and he's like, Pepsi, please, at the end, and it just like absolutely ruins it. But it's a great advert. But
Pepsi, please.
But the Nike adverts at the time were amazing. So they did the airport one for 98, right? The Brazil team, right? Then we had the Total 91, which was the Portugal Ronaldo one in the stadium with Mascanada as the soundtrack, right?
When they all take the pitch with black eyes and the referee is just scolding them. He looks at them and he's just like, you guys are terrible. It's fun.
Honestly, they had a run of fucking great adverts. They even did a sequel to The Secret, like to The Cage, which was on a boat. It's very, very good as well. There was a great Nike one with Thierry Henry in his house, kind of dribbling around. Like the United team are in it. They had a run of really great football adverts. I feel like you don't get them anymore. It's really, really frustrating, I think. But the Cage, watch the full tournament, even for players that you forget about, like Nakata. You forget how good that guy was. Like,
and of course, all of these clips are in our episode description. Another commercial that I remembered, besides the Mascanada one, the airport one, was the more recent. I believe it was World Cup of 2010 or 2014, where there were these guys playing pickup football at a five-a-side football pitch. And they just they say the name of the football player that they want to become, and they turn into that football player. Or there was another very good one by Nike where it was everything POV, and you start from like a very shitty turf pitch, and eventually there is Wesley Sneijder looking at you and like winking at you like you're going to take the free kick.
Do you know the footballer whose career they based that on?
It's a Dutch footballer, I want to say.
It's Van Persie.
Oh, because he goes to Arsenal.
For Arsenal, Fabregas picks him up in it as well. Yeah, at the time I got a really big kick out of, oh my God, that's Van Persie. Yeah.
No, it was really, I think it's besides the movie's goal, which were all right.
The first one was good, the rest was shit.
The first one was good, but it's the experience, it's the video experience that has gotten me closer to like playing in a real stadium, like actually seeing like Sneijder put the ball down and being like, hey, you go, buddy. It's just like, all right, let's
oh my
see.
God. Oh God, I can feel the pressure. I'm not made for this. I'm not cut out for it.
I'm sorry, I'm not left-footed. Can we move the ball to the other side?
Yeah. But honestly, just take, I think the advert is like, this clip is like 7 minutes. Just take the time to watch it, and just the players in it are just fantastic. Cannavaro with long hair. Like, there's nothing to not like about this video.
Nice. I really enjoyed this little trip down memory lane. I'm a little nervous, though, Rory, as we are moving to the infamous 1 minute to kickoff quiz. I did not say last week which would be my topic of expertise this time around. Rory, you want to tell our listeners?
Tommy has chosen, rather controversially, Carlo Ancelotti at AC Milan. Now, obviously, we're talking about his management reign from 2001 till 2009. So, see you on the other side. And here we are on the other side. We are here for the 1 minute till kick-off quiz. Tommy has chosen
Carlo Ancelotti's AC Milan. Now, this is not a quiz about Carlo Ancelotti himself. It's a quiz about his team. We'll remind our listeners, before they make fun of me for getting 0 answers, that Rory and I have agreed on doing 0 research on the given topic, just to make it a little more authentic and fun also for you, our beloved listeners. So, Rory, I'm ready to embarrass myself, but this is a squad. The reason why I picked this specific topic is because when I was a kid, of course, I started supporting Inter Milan towards the end of the 1990s, but I always absolutely hated. AC Milan were such a good team under Ancelotti. And every time I would read our lineup and then AC Milan's, I was jealous of many of the players they had. I was very jealous, I remember, especially of Shevchenko, man. Shevchenko, one of my favorite forwards of all time. A true number 9. But without further ado, Rory, so, Rory, I'm going to give myself a 3, 2, 1, go.
How many times did Carlo win the Scudetto in this period?
2.
No. Who was the highest scorer for Ancelotti throughout his reign?
Filippo Inzaghi.
No. Who was the most expensive transfer for Carlo?
Ricardo Oliveira.
No. Which player got the most assists on the way to the 06-07 Champions League win?
Andrea Pirlo.
No. Who did Milan defeat in the Club World Cup final in 07-08?
Okay, this one I want to get right. In 07-08.
Club World Cup final.
Club World Cup final, probably from South America. I'm going to say Boca Juniors.
Yes. How many times did Carlo finish outside the top 4 in this time?
1.
Good. Which current Inter player did Ancelotti give his debut to at AC Milan?
Darmian.
Good. Who did he sign from Inter for a fee of 22.5 million euros?
Andrea Pirlo.
No, and we've ran out of questions. So I'll give you another go. How many times did Carlo win the Scudetto in this period?
So I've gotten 2, right? That is pretty good. How many times has he won the Scudetto? I said 2, probably 1, maybe.
Once. He won it once.
Fuck.
Yes. Who was the highest scorer for him throughout this reign?
I did say Filippo Inzaghi. Maybe it was Andriy Shevchenko.
It was Shevchenko. I was afraid you were going to get that one because you called him before the quiz. The most expensive transfer for Carlo?
Kaká, maybe.
Nesta, 31 million euros.
Wow, 31 million euros at the time from Lazio.
That's insanity, right?
Holy
crap. The player who got the most assists on the way to their 06-07 Champions League win?
Who was the assist man at AC Milan now? Their midfield was
It's
Gattuso.
not who you think, honestly. I don't think it wasn't Gattuso, who I thought.
It's not Pirlo, Seedorf. Seedorf? Yeah?
Seedorf with 4 assists, yes.
All right. Only 4, wow.
Who did Milan beat in the Club World Cup final? You got that right, with Boca Juniors. How many times did Carlo finish outside the top four? Was once in 07-08. Which current player did Ancelotti give his debut to? Was indeed Matteo Darmian. And who did he sign from Inter for a fee of 22.5 million euros?
Clarence Seedorf.
Seedorf, correct.
Thank you for making me think about that one. It's always. No,
I had to throw it in there. I saw it and I was like, "Oh, that's got to be a question. That's got to be a question."
Which means that now I'm at 7 points. I want to say, Rory, what is your topic of expertise going into next week?
My topic is going to be. Now, this is just off the top of the head. I'm going to go for. Italians in the Premier League.
All right.
That can be managers or players. Italians in the Premier League.
I would just tell you one thing about managers in the Premier League. Abramovich has got a thing for Italians. Off the top of my head.
Really? But Chelsea have always had an Italian connection.
Yeah,
they had Zola before that. Vialli.
Zola, Ranieri.
Di Matteo, he played for Chelsea. They have a lot of Italians. Pistone, Fonte. he played for Chelsea.
Wow, yeah, many players. Guys, I'm pretty proud of what I did about Ancelotti's AC Milan. I don't have anything to tell you except that on Monday night we're going to be live at 9 p.m. The upcoming one is definitely a week. You want to be tuned on to the Anglo-Italian Pod because we believe it's going to be the right week for Inter Milan to win the title. 19esimo scudetto. I can't wait for it. But now I'm going to leave you to my friend Rory Criscuolo to send you off with our customary end of the episode quote.
Now, the quote this week was sent in by Mr. Thomas Wayne, and it is a player that you know we love on this pod. It is from Moise Kean and his dear mother. Now, this is about when he finally signed his first official contract. We had little money. Then one day, Moise calls me on my way to work at 5:30 a.m. and says, "Mom, I have a surprise." I told him, "No, don't tell me. You didn't sign with Juve." He replied, "I did. And starting today, you will quit your job and live with me in Turin." Good work, Moise. Good work, guys. We will see you next week. Thanks for listening.